Now, I've been playing some Thing in Marvel Rivals, and I don't think he's OP by any means, but he feels really, really good to play. I had initially thought with the changes that he received that it might be like a power neutral change because they reduced the damage on his Haymaker, but they gave him like the ability to apply vulnerability and gave him an AoE damage reduction, but they removed it if you jump to enemies, all that kind of stuff. But I think he actually is in a better spot right now, and he feels the best he has for a while. I think, you know, the counters that he still has, things like Punisher, Groot, they still work very well against him, don't get me wrong. But they made Thing less of an Unga Bunga character, and they made him a lot more conscious on your decision making and how you use your cooldowns. Because before, I think it was very basic, right? Like, you'd always get the damage reduction applied to yourself and to one of your team members if you ran to your team, or if you dashed onto the enemy, you'd still have that damage reduction. But the fact that they gave him the ability to apply vulnerability gives him a lot more conscious decision making on how he wants to use his cooldowns. Especially if you want to pair it up with like dive heroes, he can now apply vulnerability prior to a dive hero going in so that those individuals will take more damage. He can apply vulnerability prior to when some ultimates are going to go off. Pairing it up with like a Star-Lord ultimate increases the amount of damage that Star-Lord is going to do for the enemy, right? It's going to make it so that they are going to take a lot more damage because of that 20% vulnerability. Also, the added AoE, there's a very strategic component to that, right? Before you're going to use an engagement, before you're going to go in, especially if you have like a Gambit, right? Gambit's ultimate isn't like a super crazy defensive ultimate. It's not like a Luna Snow. It's not like an Invisible Woman. So you applying that damage reduction to your team before your Gambit ults gives you that extra firepower with the Gambit ult, the damage reduction with the Thing, and even if they do try to counter with like a big DPS ultimate, you might actually have the ability to live through that. So I really like how they've changed Thing in terms of like giving him a lot more active decisions to make. I didn't think that was possible to make him a more engaging hero given the way his kit functions and given the kind of hero he is, but I really like what NetEase have done here, and I'm all for the changes. I also think the Haymaker changes are nice because most of the time, you're not just hitting one hero, right? You're hitting, 2, 3 heroes, so you're almost always maxing out on that 100 HP shield, which feels good. I'm not just like randomly right-clicking anymore just to get the 50 shield. I actually have to aim it a little bit. I actually have to think about, well, I want to save my punch cooldown, if you want to talk about, or the Haymaker cooldown, so that I can actually hit a bunch of members and get my max HP. He feels a lot better to play. I'm not saying he's OP by any means, but there are a lot more situations where I'm comfortable going Thing, and I feel like I can make an impactful difference in the game.